Hi, this is Nate the Biased User here, and today I will be focusing more on the positive of music I've been listening to, going through a bunch of albums I loved, and should have a comfy spot on my year-end top 50 list. And I'll start with this record by Feeble Little Horse, Girl with Fish. This can easily be another college radio-esque bedroom pop record, but it sticks out like a sore thumb in the rough static that's dominating these tracks, resulting in uniqueness in other sounds that end up making their way into the blend. And even though the noises are rough, it's surrounded by a more cleansed feel, resulting in all the noises coming in more smooth than it could have been otherwise. And outside of that, the vocals are cute and catchy, and I can more or less say the same with the riffs. So yeah, great stuff here, and only 22 minutes of it. 7.9. Rae Jepsen's The Loveliest Time is the to-be-expected B-sides to the record before, The Loneliest Time. But the thing about Carly is, despite a lot of her B-sides records being B-sides, they don't pale much in comparison to her main albums. They're just as good, and with this newest record, not only do these tracks go hard, but there also was not as many duds either. I honestly can't at all say I found any other Carly record to be as consistently enjoyable as this one, which is saying something since I found the record that this one is the B-sides too, despite it also having bangers, to be overall her most underwhelming since her debut. But yeah, this record on the other hand was great. Maybe there could be a little more layers in some of these tracks, but the ones that are present are very dense and engaging. 7.9. George Clanton, O Rapaya, if that's how it's pronounced. Very dreamy, atmospheric, and slow, and I can't get enough. It's rough too, but that might just be what's plugging me into it so much. 7.7. Hive Narcosis is a black metal record by Thantifaxath with a short track list, but the tracks are relatively long and lovably terrifying. I'm gonna give this album a 7.6. The Death of Randy Fitzsimmons is the first record from Swedish garage punk band The Hives in more than 10 years. Not that I really cared for their 2012 record as much as their first two, but they made me care about this one, which, while not as straightforward and hyper as the first two, definitely their best produced, with some of the better garage rock you will hear at this day and age. This thing can get energetic, and when it's not, it can still be highly expressive and catchy, and when low-key, respectfully experimental. I love this record, definitely their best in probably 20 years, and I'm glad they were able to pull this off after such a long hiatus. I'm gonna give this album an 8.1. With this folk artist I never heard till now, Joanna Sternberg, they bring us I've Got Me. A very low-key folk album, but most of my joy comes from Joanna's cute and fuzzy high-pitched voice, and their chemistry with the acoustics and pianos, which stands out despite how generic the riffs may be. To pick out an individual track, People Are Toys to You is pretty much one of my favorite tracks of the year, where they make a clever take on people who make human connections but then disregards them once they're bored, just to make another connection and do the same thing, and so on, by making the statement that people are toys to those people, which I can't help but find to be a more than accurate metaphor. But outside of that, there's a lot of great folk material here. Please check it out. 8.2. Next is this hip-hop trio Group Therapy, where with this newest record, I was mature for my age, but I was still a child, is really a fantastic symptom of the post-Brockhampton era. I can't help but find similarities too, from the brightness to the chemistry between everyone, to the hip-hop and pop or R&B blends. But to the distinguishments, there's only three people, Tyrell J. Williams or TJ Online, and Coy Stewart or Swim, who I've come to find out while writing this are all former child actors, but their talents outside of that are clearly well established. Jada Grace is a more than great singer, and both TJ and Swim know how to spit, and they do it all in a variety of music styles. We get jazz rap displayed on Smiles, drunkpoppers.com gives us the raw, abstract hip-hop instrumental you would expect from a track by various Griselda members. It gets noisy and aggressive on Hot, and my favorite track, Peak, has to be the most beautiful track that you can tang to. If you know, you know. So yeah, this has to be an 8.6. Now I will talk about the new Jane Remover record, but from her other alias, Concern, or Leroy, entitled Grave Robbing, which has unfortunately been Jane removed from streaming services, which I guess isn't the biggest surprise considering it's a mashup record, but what a hell of a mashup record it was. The samples worked well, the production was strong, the original instrumental sparkles so much joy, far more joy than the last Leroy record, and also, unlike the one before, I'm never getting bored of these samples. They're used in very unique ways. Hearing Ariana Grande repeating the words "into you" non-stop could easily sound repetitive, but Jane managed to make it work. And you'll see here, and her newest record, where she goes by Jane Remover, she has evolved as a producer, to say the least. I'm gonna give this album an 8.5. Alright, filmed in a separate day once again. On to this new Genesis Owusu album, Struggler. And this newest Genesis Owusu project might not be as heavy as his previous but I would say his wacky and exciting vibe has only gone further, giving this album a lot of value on its own. And I also like its digital approach, a style I do think Genesis can evolve. But even if he hasn't gone all the way, I can at times be in a bigger mood to listen to this one rather than Smiling with No Teeth, even with that record being as fantastic as it is. I'm gonna give this album a 7.9. Olivia Rodrigo dropped a pretty solid pop record in 2021, and while I didn't find it to be perfect, considering how she was only 18 years old, I couldn't help but feel she could only get better after that. And that's kind of what happened on this newest record, Guts. She outdid the hell out of herself. The production is more engaging, and just like the previous, doesn't mind taking risks in its mainstream field. Just take the rawness of Ballad of a Homeschool Girl, and the static coming from Olivia's voice. And despite my least favorite track, Making the Bed, being a slow burner, most of the slow stuff does not miss. Even before the track Vampire progresses into a track a little more exciting, Olivia is guaranteed to provide as much passion as possible. But to give credit to the excitement, Get Him Back was so much fun. I can't get enough of the loud group chanting on the chorus. But overall, a very good record from front to back. It may be a little Disney Channel, Nickelodeon schoolgirl-esque, but it'll be very unlikely that you'll find a record with this kind of vibe that is as well executed as this one. I'm gonna give this album an 8.1. With Hell Mode by Jeff Rosenstock, the first couple of tracks are straightforward and crazy energetic, in a way where everything clicks, even with the speeds and layering shifting as fast as they are. And even when getting further in, it's still very lovable and brightening punk and power pop, which is not only helped by the clean and also striking production, but due to how out there Jeff's singing is. But yeah, this record is amazing. I'm blown away. Well deserving of 8.9 status. New era of post-rock indeed, and also noise rock. This is the hour-and-a-half long sophomore record by Sprain, The Lamb as Effigy. Very spread out, goes through a lot of changes, despite some songs being like 20 minutes. And the noises really fuck with your brain. I definitely have more love than hate for them, but I guess I have personal biases in favor of the more industrial shit. And those aspects are even better with how aggressive the vocals can be. And it makes a great post-rock album that's interesting, no matter the length. I'm gonna give this album an 8.4. This new Wish album, Zango, the band's first in almost 40 years, seems to be showing the origins of the kind of sounds you would hear from your average King Giz record in its psychedelic and funk rock aspects. Or I assume origins, since Wish is a much older band. But this band's long hiatus doesn't seem to be holding it back. It's basically letting whatever listener know that, hey, we're a band from Zambia that's been around in the 70s and 80s, while packing in some quality cultural sounds in the process. I'm gonna give this album a 7.7. I'm appreciating how out there Yoli, if I'm pronouncing it right, is getting with their newest album, Soft Scars. It's a lot more bright and detailed compared to the previous, but it seems as though the detail comes from the physical instruments that provide a few alt-rock cuts that hit hard. Jesus Christ, the drums on the intro XWX fucking smack, and Cybermeat, while not hitting as hard, does provide an enthusiastic pop-punk mood that has noticeable synths and electronics in the mix. So I don't think they broke out of their electronic field completely, despite there being a higher emphasis on rock elements. It's very well balanced, and I definitely find this record to be more consistently enjoyable compared to Glitch Princess. With the new Underscores album Wall Socket, this thing is hella stimulating, with the fuzzy but sturdy glitch sounds, but also from the performances of Underscores herself. Whether she's coming off aggressive and cartoonish on Old Money Bitch, or soft and low on the closer Good Luck Final Girl, she does not miss. The only complaint I can really bring up is I wasn't really crazy about the album slowing down and losing the excitement on the final couple of tracks, but even those songs are really good. I do sometimes miss getting crushed by the drum palette, but other than that, this record is great. I'm gonna give this album a 7.9. With this new Arm & Hammer record, We Buy Diabetic Test Strips, while I wouldn't consider the production to be explosive, it is very unique and heavy, even for abstract hip-hop. And again, it's Arm & Hammer. It's an album of both Billy Woods and Elucid, two great rappers expressing themselves and embracing their chemistry. I'm gonna give this album an 8, exactly. This new Sufjan Stevens record, Javelin, named after his lover who unfortunately passed away earlier this year, is another folk highlight of 2023. It's no Illinois, but it is beautiful. I'm gonna give this album an 8.1. While the new Hannah Diamond Perfect Picture doesn't contain the most density when it comes to the amount of layers, there is so much brightness in the synths. And I love the spacey atmosphere. But what really pulls this album together, even on the tracks I'm not the most crazy about, it's Hannah singing. Her voice is so beautiful. It's happy and optimistic, and she stays this way even when acknowledging self-doubt, which paired with the happiness shows signs of hope, which gets to my emotions more relative compared to other music, which I can't help but appreciate. So this is a great record. Probably the best album from a PC music artist I've heard as of recently. And I guess the simplicity of the record may be a little off-putting, but there's too much joy I'm getting out of here for me to not love this thing. I guess to be fair, I'll just give this record a 7.6. I will conclude this video with my thoughts on the new Zack Bryan album, or the self-titled Zack Bryan album. And all I have to say is, give us more country albums like this. Albums with production as solid as this one. Not the overproduced garbage, but still keep it catchy. This record is great. 7.8. Like, subscribe, comment how you feel, or give a suggestion. Check out my other social medias. I might do another Loveliest thing. But other than that, I will see you next time.